I'm BrianTheBlue, and welcome back to Current Calamities, where I take a break from the past to look forward to the future with the games of the present. Now, I know it's been a few months since this game came out, but I have an explanation as to why it's taken this long to do a video on. Say it with me now.
Everybody! One, two, switch!
Everybody Want to Switch, a sequel to a random launch game nobody asked for or expected, but were pleasantly surprised when it was announced unexpectedly months ago. Before that, I remember hearing the rumors that the supposed sequel was in some sort of development hell, but I found it hard to believe that they were even considering a sequel for what was essentially an overpriced tech demo. I think that's why it's called Everybody Want to Switch, as they want everybody to play it, as not many played the original. I was one of the few that did, as I didn't care that it was overpriced. It was one of the few launch games besides Breath of the Wild at the time, and I was intrigued with what it could do, and apart from making some controversial statements,
the Wii Sports of the Switch.
I only meant that to show off the controls, not its sales, because
I actually enjoyed what it had to offer. I played it with family and some high school friends my senior year, and those were some good memories. Not sure if the sequel will live up to it, but I'm willing to give it a shot, so let's get switching. 6 seasons and it still happens. I remember seeing this mindful of your surroundings image, but not this one about holding the Joy-Cons upright, and the play option screen is new too. It looks like you can play in 2 different ways, the Joy-Con way with up to 8 people, or using your smart device with up to 100 people. I might as well get this out of the way and say this is why this video took so damn long, as I genuinely tried to gather 100 people together to play for this video. Why wouldn't you try to show off the biggest and probably most outrageous gimmick the game has to offer? Now, I remember seeing an event like that going down at Game On Expo, but I never got the opportunity to attend it. I tried to get something organized at the arcade I work at, but nothing came about. It was even hard to get my brothers on board, and I thought I had better convincing skills. What do you want? What are you, crazy? Get out of here! Call you right back, Mom. I just got back from Japan. On second thought, I'm catching the next flight back. Oh, what the hell, 20 bucks. I don't know what everybody has against it, but I went to the one person I can always rely on, my mom. And I did so when I still had a long head of hair. This part, at least, was filmed in advance. So we began with Joy-Con mode, and it seemed kind of light having only a couple modes to choose from, and even then, you couldn't pick bingo as that was only reserved for the other mode that we'll get to later. So why even have it on this side? You're taking up room for no reason whatsoever. We just played party mode a couple of times, and at all times, Horace the Horse was our guide. Probably the most random MC, but probably the most public domain one Nintendo could find. Or did Nintendo have to pay someone for that? Either way, they went the extra mile and animated that monstrosity. Party mode reminds me of Team Battle in the original game a little bit. We're split between the left and right and have to face off against one another in a myriad of original games, and it's no different here. As far as I could tell, most of these games are somewhat original ideas, or they heavily borrowed from those in the first game. I mean, I can say with confidence Relay Race is an upgrade to Beach Flag, and Samurai Sword Fight was like a combo of sword fight and samurai training, but there were some new games like Hip Bump and the slightly suggestive Balloons, but we both had a good time. He scared the cat. While the cat was wondering what could we possibly be doing. Depending on how long you decided to party will determine the number of points needed to win, but that's pretty much all you need to know. Like, this is it, the whole game. And we waited 6 years for this? It's better to play the 60-minute party as you'll have more opportunities to try the various games. There's a couple more worth mentioning, like Joy-Con Hide and Seek is the near-spitting image of Wii Party's Hide and Hunt, but it's a lot of fun with the vibration gimmick. I feel like that's one of the things this game lacks from the original, showcasing what the controls do. But 6 years on, we know what the Joy-Cons are capable of. And no, they haven't been put to much use, but Nintendo decided to put these aside and give these newfangled smartphones a go.
The second and only other mode here is Smart Device Mode. What does that mean? I don't know, I'm not SMRT. Your phone becomes a controller and it's pretty cool with the limited things it can do. I mean, for starters, you're allowed to put your name and a picture of yourself in there. Me and Mama definitely took advantage of that.
We look so good. Now, I have no idea why I'm bringing this up, but I don't know if I'm ever going to bring this up. You ever heard about the Intellivision Amico? No, of course you haven't. You're sane. It was one of the most batshit attempts by Tommy Tallarico to make the Intellivision brand relevant again with a new console, and then it slowly turned into one of the biggest gaming scams in recent memory. I actually won one of those non-existent consoles by participating in a raffle from the National Video Game Museum in Texas, so I had the tiniest of stakes in seeing this come to fruition. But over half a decade later, there's no chance in hell we'll ever see the system release ever. I only bring it up because the Amico wanted to use smartphones or a new controller to interact with games much like the Wii U used to. So you think this is a coincidence? I like to think of it as one-upmanship. Why wouldn't you want to show up an idiot who says you make games about
Nintendo was always going to make this work. They've been toying around with it long enough to know how to make it fun, and they did an attempt. Let me explain. So the party game is mostly the same, except your smartphone is the controller 90% of the time. There will be the odd occasion where you have to use the Joy-Con, but the smartphone will always be used for the games. The game selection here is a little disappointing as there are a couple new ones to play, but a good majority carry on from Joy-Con mode. If you want to get the most enjoyment, you'll want to try the original games in this mode as they were very much made with the smartphone in mind. The ones that come to mind are Auction, Ice Cream Parlor, and my personal favorite, Color Shoot. This game's the only one that allows you to take pictures and you're trying to find a given color that might be around where you're playing. Whenever this one comes up, I know me and Mama had probably the best time trying to look around and snap a picture before the other. It was even more fun getting additional footage in the office as there was no shortage of color opportunity with my Atari covers on the wall or all the other stuff on my shelves.
This is by far the best game on here, and I wish I could play it more, but you may have noticed that you're only able to play these games when you're playing in a party. You can't access them separately like in the original. Why?
It isn't too much of a lost cause as you can easily make the specific selection with the spinner, but it still would be nice to play the best ones individually like in the previous game. I thought that option would be hidden in the others column, but that was only conserving save data.
Come on, Nintendo, you're gonna confuse the kids. But not the seniors when they see bingo. This is what I waited 6 years for. I'm old.
I mean, what you see is what you get. It's a simple bingo game. You get your random card and try to time the button press just right to get a bingo before your opponents. It's fun to use both the phone for your card and passing the Joy-Con around to stop the bingo machine. And on the odd occasion, you'll have the opportunity to choose 3 numbers instead of 1. Whoever gets a bingo first obviously wins and will get a little prize as a reward.
No wonder why Mama finds me annoying sometimes.
That's pretty much it. This is what 6 years of waiting gets us. A weird turnaround for what was essentially a tech demo. Not to say it's bad, I just think it's lacking. There was definitely more that could be done, but with what little it has, it still proved to be fun. The games are what really made it happen, and there's still a few to talk about. UFO was weird but fine, and the quiz show was alright too. Have to listen carefully so you can choose if the responses to the questions given are correct or incorrect, and you'll win points accordingly. Like I said, alright. Didn't think it was worthy to get its own selection outside party mode, but sure, the results still stayed the same on my end.
I'm sorry, Mom, I just couldn't. So with all that being said, what's my overall opinion?
I'm not exaggerating when I say I enjoy the original 1-2 Switch. For what it is, it was an enjoyable minigame compilation that showed off the new controllers to near perfection. Now a near console generation later, it's back and enjoying its life as a thing. A thing that parties. Everybody 1-2 Switch attempts to carry on the fun vibe of the original, and it definitely does that to some extent. I had a good time playing with Mama Blue, and the games we played were enjoyable whether with a Joy-Con or a smart device. I just think it was pretty lacking when you examine it closer. I don't think there's enough games or mini-games after all this time, and you can't play the mini-games separately from the party modes. Playing with people is what makes this game, but again, I think Nintendo really overestimates somebody trying to find 100 people to play this random-ass game. It's a curiosity more than anything. If you liked the first game, you'll probably like this sequel too. It's cheap enough to not cause a stir, and if you're lucky enough to have friends or family to play this, it would be a decent enough distraction to just have fun with. I'm still on a color shoot kick. Is there another game out there on smart devices that's basically the same idea? I know you probably couldn't do that on the Amico because it never existed. So what do you think? Do you agree with me or have your own thoughts? Let me know by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, like the video with those thumbs up. If you think anyone else would like this vid, share it around. And if you want to see more of me, this show, and others, hit the subscribe button. I'm BrianTheBlue, thanks for watching. I'm going back to the past, and until next time, I'll see you in the future.